Hello and welcome back to another game of Dota 2. You are watching StarSeries. It is still Season 7, it is still Day 25, and this is Game 5 of 6. And this is perhaps the most important match of the day, maybe even of this week. Empire sitting on a pretty comfortable score, to be fair. I mean, they're sitting on top of the list. They have got 12 games played, 3 games lost, 9 games won. Quantic sitting on 10 games played, so 2 games less than Empire. 7 games won, 3 games lost, so they could still end up being the same as Empire. And one of these two teams will have 4 losses by the end of tonight, which will put them in 5th place of StarSeries overall. And that is not where you want to be, because you want to be going to Kiev, you want to be in the top 4. Of course, to cast this match, I am not by myself. I am joined by 2 people. We have got Nahaz here. Nahaz, of course, still our stats man. You'll also find him in the chat on Shiver Gaming on twitch.tv. As Nahaz the Necro, but he'll be putting out stats inside the game here, as well as me having a co-caster, of course, once again, Baseskip. Welcome back.
Hey Shiver, good to be back. I'll stifle yawns during this game, but no, I shouldn't be yawning at all. This should be a really exciting one. For anybody wondering, it is currently 20 past 5 in the morning for me, so good thing I have nothing on tomorrow, and I'm really excited to cast this game. So thanks for having me. Thanks for having me back. And I guess before we move forward, can I give a really big shout out to Starladder? They're always super punctual. We got out of the last game. The lobby was already up for this game. We all piled in. Teams were ready, and away we went. So Starladder doing a really good job when it comes to all the organization stuff.
Yeah, I fully agree. Even, I believe, Matt on his latest blog, he said that Starladder actually, he found it the most well-run tournament, online tournament. And I have to agree. I mean, they're always on time. They always know what's happened, at least the day before. I mean, teams are, of course... I mean, that's always in Dota, I guess. Most of the schedules are only ready, like, a day beforehand, which is kind of awkward sometimes. But it works out, and Starladder, indeed, just very on the ball with everything. Empire has been looking very strong lately. They had a bit of a rough start at the start of the season, but they have managed to pick themselves up. And, I mean, they've just been working together amazingly well. Quantic, and we're calling them Quantic because that's the team name as they enlisted themselves on Starladder, even though we might call them Mouse or might call them Flipside. You know, there's still some negotiations going on, I believe. Has been doing
Quantic
really well
Flipside Mouse.
Yeah, Quantic Flipside Mouse, that's them. But they have been doing really well as well, and... Well, this game, I am really curious to see how this is going to go down. Scandal, maybe the most inexperienced drafter of the 2 drafters here, Mad and Scandal drafting against each other, of course. We do have some standard bans, though, with the Treant ban out against Quantic, which is fairly standard, even though they could still pick up the Abaddon, though I'm gonna assume Empire is gonna ban it out. We still have the Bet and the IO banned out, as well as the Naga Siren. Leaving for the Chen and the Bane to be picked up by Empire after the OD pickup for Quantic, which is definitely a strong hero for Fada to play. Weaver now also picked up. I think that Quantic is pretty happy with their lineup, but I think we're also coming back to the same story as you said in the previous game, where Na'Vi secured their 2 supports first, making sure, or maybe not the previous game, but the game before that one, but if you secure your 2 supports first, it's going to allow you to maybe have the upper hand in the early game, if you're going to start roaming around and stuff like that, as we have the Abaddon banned out indeed.
Yeah. Empire need to be very careful though, because Quantic have, right off the bat, secured what are often considered 2 of the strongest solo heroes in the entire game. So Quantic, they can immediately say, look, if we have a really good aggressive tri-lane, or even if we have an okay aggressive tri-lane, we should win our solo lanes. So if they cobble together an aggressive tri-lane here, run it against Empire, and then just rely on the OD and the Weaver winning their lanes, then they should be in a pretty good spot. And Empire do need to be cautious of that. One thing I would like to say is that this is a very... From Quantic, it is a very Quantic draft, and from Empire, it is a very Empire draft so far. So, we'll see if that continues.
Yeah, of course, I mean, if you're sitting in your comfort zone, it all comes down to who plays their... Well, which team has better execution, basically. Empire, I like that they pick up a Bounty Hunter. I think we've seen him on the winning side a lot lately. I mean, those track kills, if you are actually planning on exchanging kills and you're going to have a Bounty Hunter in your team, you're going to be getting ahead, and... I think Empire with Mag on the Bounty Hunter is definitely having a good one in that. They ban out the Enchantress. Visage still in the pool though, I mean, making it all the way through to the second picking phase. I think Quantic is going to be very happy with that. I would love to see a Visage Sand King combination with Mania playing the Sand King, but I know that I said that last time as well, and I think they went for a Nyx Assassin anyway, which is probably the more standard pickup in this one. Although, with the Bounty Hunter in the pool, you do already have got that track to scout you out, so I'm not entirely sure if that's the one that they want to go for. Perhaps even we're going to see an Enigma again. We have a ban out for the Clockwork and for the Darkseer, so they did remove some of Mag's heroes from the pool before that Bounty Hunter got picked up. But I think that Empire is going to be pretty happy with their draft regardless. And with the heroes they have right now, they haven't really shown anything of what they're actually planning on doing with their mid and their off lane. Or on the safe lane rather. They can still go for a lot of different routes here. They have to have some good ones that can throw it a punch though, because I think Quantic at the moment looks just slightly stronger.
Yeah, there are still... I'm actually surprised that Quantic didn't choose to ban out Razor after picking up the OD so early. So either they're not worried about what the Razor can do against the OD, or they have different plans for the OD. Some teams do farm him on the safe lane if the enemy team picks up Razor, because just in general, I would say, you know, Razor does pretty well in the 1v1 matchup against the OD, but then you do end up with a Razor on your team, and he's not widely considered one of the most powerful heroes. You know, people have really been picking him up to deal with that OD pick. So Quantic, I still feel a very strong option for them is to just look to run the aggressive tri-lane, rely on their solos winning their lanes. Interestingly enough, Bounty Hunter can actually do pretty well in the 1v1 against the Weaver if you pool them up quite a bit, and you do have a lot of spare gold floating around because you have the Chen, so there is the opportunity for Empire to have that not be a terrible 1v1, and they've also snagged the Gyrocopter here, who's actually alright kind of against the OD. So it looks like Empire are at the very least keeping the fact that Quantic could run an aggressive tri-lane in mind. Quantic, if they wanted to, could be super greedy and just pick up something like an Alchemist here and just offlane the Weaver mid the OD and just farm the Alch and aim for the inevitability. So they've also got options as far as the draft is concerned, I would say.
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty greedy indeed, though. I mean, you're up against a Chen and a Bane. I think they're going to look to roam around fairly early on and try to get some kills, and especially with the Bounty Hunter, of course, later on. So I'm not quite sure if that's going to be a successful thing to do. I like the Gyrocopter for Empire, allows them to have and some form of team fight, and of course a lot of farming potential for that Gyrocopter. And the Nyx Assassin is going to be still our support pickup. Damn, I really want to see that Sand King again, but oh well. Nyx Assassin picked up as expected in combination with the Visage, and you're right, I mean, Quantic has got so much options open to go for. Maybe still, I mean, in theory, even if the Razor comes out, they can have the OD on the safe lane farming. They can still pick up a different mid. They can have an aggressive tri lane then. They can have a safe tri lane. They can, I mean, they have a lot of options here still. And Empire, I'm thinking they're still going to ban out an offlaner, or at least a solo laner, I should say, because indeed the aggressive tri lane could still be there. We'll see which one they remove. I mean, there's actually quite a few options still left for Quantic to just do whatever they want to.
I mean, it's looking pretty good for Quantic, but at the same time, it's mainly laning stage concerns for Empire. So if you look past that, Quantic, yes, they've got an OD and a Weaver who are very strong 1v1 solos, but they don't really come into their element, and they don't really participate much in the game for the early portion. They're very much known for just sitting in their lanes, winning their 1v1 matchups, and then, you know, getting a little bit of farm, get the Lincolns, get the mech, and then maybe look to do something. Meanwhile, Empire, they should have a relatively highly leveled Bane because the Chen is going to be jungling, so Bane can get some good levels. They should...
Hello?
Gyrocopter can definitely participate early.
Oh, it's gonna be a Viper. Your microphone is kind of cutting out slightly there. In the end, as a Viper picks up by Empire. We've seen it before, and actually it's mostly picked up by Quantic, with Fada actually having the 100% win rate on his Viper. And perhaps he's going to be shown here how to do that, how to play Viper. Quantic, they've banned out the Kunkka, of course. That is also a counter towards the OD, and indeed, they're just Razor completely ignored as we're waiting for Baseskip to come back. We're expecting him shortly, so hold on for that. Nature's Prophet was the last ban out for Empire, but Timbersaw still in the pool, and that will be the hero for Quantic to go on the off lane. And then Fada can take on his OD and go mid still. I think we're going to be having a pretty standard lineup for that one. As, let me find if there is indeed basically coming back soon. Hopefully he is. Yeah. Well, in the meantime, we're going to see how these two teams are going to lane this. I think it's going to be pretty straightforward for both teams, just safe tri lanes. With, you know, just an offlaner that can actually do something, as in Bounty Hunter can actually get some experience on the lane. And I'm gonna just recall the call. I think that's gonna be the best. There we go. Welcome
I'm back.
Welcome back.
I don't know what that was. I'm sorry.
Oh, that happens. You haven't really missed anything though, apart from Viper and Timbersaw getting picked up.
Okay, so I guess that's the Empire response to the OD, and then looks like, well, I'm not actually sure. Quantic could run the Weaver in the aggressive tri-lane. The Timbersaw is actually pretty good in a lot of the 1v1s here, so yeah. Interesting drafts from both sides. I think pretty comfortable drafts from both sides, I would say, as well. I mean, we talked about at the very start, Quantic looking like a very Quantic lineup, and Empire, I mean, looking like a very Empire lineup. I think the only thing that would be missing for Empire is maybe a Coddle, but for it to be a very Empire draft. But yeah, looking forward to this game. And like you said, this is the gem of the evening, right? Or
Yeah,
wherever you are in the world, this is the big game.
It definitely is. It's I mean, really, it could be. It's not guaranteed, but it could be the game that decides which one of these two teams goes to Kiev, because they are both sitting at 3 losses, and even though Empire, I believe, Quantic has got some more games to play, this is their highest target opponent still. Quantic still also has to play up against Fnatic, though, which might be... I mean, I'm counting Fnatic to be lower than Empire at this moment, because Fnatic will play without Era when they play, and they haven't been looking as strong lately. And Quantic also has to play up against NextKZ and up against... Actually, whoa, I forgot one game. Quantic still has to play up against Rattlesnake International. So they kind of have to win here. And then, I mean, there's a lot of pressure on them. Empire has already faced all those harder opponents, I feel. Empire still has to face Rocks. Empire has to face, well, Quantic right now. That's actually it. They have played 13 games, 12 games. This is their 13th game, and then they need to play 2 more. One of those is up against Rocks, and the other one is up against... I can't find the game in the roster, but... Well, I'm pretty sure they've already faced all the hardest opponents, so... I think extra pressure on Quantic right here. I actually didn't realize that they still had to face up against KP, Rattlesnake International, because that's gonna be... That's actually going to be our last game of the season, by the way, on Sunday night. But it's going to be a very important game for them, indeed. Anyways, let's see who's playing what. We have got Maniac taking on the Visage in this game. We'll be playing under the flip side tag, of course. We have got Fada taking on the OD. Mad will be on the Nyx Assassin. Socksky will be playing the Weaver, and Miguel will take on the Timbersaw. And for now, I'm expecting still this safe tri-lane to come out with Miguel just on the suicide lane. What about you? How would you expect the lanes here?
I'm not sure, because you get into a little bit of, you know, thinking about, well, what is the enemy team doing? So how do we react appropriately? And I'm not actually sure. It's kind of clear what matchups each team wants, but it's not clear which matchups they're going to end up getting. I feel like Mao's Flipside Quantic, whatever we're going to call them, shouldn't be too worried. They've got pretty strong solos on the whole, and Empire right now looks like just Scandal mid, Mag heading towards the off lane, and defensive tri lane. So I guess just the bog standard lanes, and looking to see what Quantic end up throwing at them.
Yeah, you want to still introduce Empire? Or you want to wait and see what Mouse does when they walk up the high ground? Empire, Quantic, whatever, their team name. They're gonna find Silent right there. Almost want to fly. Oh, a Nightmare perhaps. As From Prism starts off with the Bane. Tries to get himself out. In comes a Rocket Rush. The Impale Silent on the wrong side of the tree line and goes down. Mad picks up the kill. Whoa. Okay, so this is a rotation that a lot of teams have been doing lately. If there's a Chen on the dire side, just walk straight up the high ground. Mostly been done by Deuce actually, and just place a ward to make sure that the Chen is not going to get that hard camp. Of course, now that Empire knows that they will get counter warded, but might be too late before actually missing that first camp. They do have sentry wards on the hands of Vanscore though. And actually, they're sticking around here.
Yeah, Quantic, I mean, like we touched on in the draft, they've got really good solo matchups here. So even if they don't win their tri-lane, even if they get wiped out by the Chen when he makes his first pass across at around 3 minutes or so, then they should still be fine. The Viper actually does quite well in the 1v1 mid against the OD, though Timbersaw is expected to win this 1v1 against the Bounty Hunter, especially given that Bounty has not been pulled up, and he's ended up using a ward, in fact, to actually block out the pull camp. So it looks like Empire were expecting slightly more defensive lanes here from Quantic, but Quantic aren't really, well, apparently aren't really too concerned about this 1v1 mid, and that means that, yeah, they are going to end up with this very favorable 1v1 for the Timbersaw. And I'll run over who's playing what on Empire. I swear that it's taking so long. So we've got Silent, please don't die. Okay, I think he's okay.
Yeah.
Gets Grave Shield, but we're going to have Silent on the Gyrocopter. We've got Always Wanna Fly on the Bane. We've got Vanscore playing the Chen. We've got Scandal heading towards mid as the Viper, and down on bot, we've got Mag on his Bounty Hunter.
Yeah, and I think that Silent is going to have a pretty tough lane here on this top lane. I mean, the lane got pulled, which is, you know, nice for Always Wanna Fly and stuff, but it makes for a dive here for Quantic. They might be trying to go for something here. Sentry Ward gets placed. Some harassment coming out on the Weaver, who just casually strolls by that tier 1 tower, which in the end doesn't really do anything. But they have to be careful here with pulling, because it might actually end up working against them. Silent, only 2 last hits thus far. I mean, Soxka will be able to do just fine here in terms of outlast hitting Silent. And I mean, they just need to stop Silent from farming, and I mean, then it's only up to the Viper to try and get this game back in hands of Empire. But for now, it's looking pretty good for Quantic, especially on this top lane.
Yeah. Quantic putting the pressure on, getting an okay amount of farm. I mean, the thing with the Viper, yes, he does pretty well in the 1v1 against the OD, but again, it's another one of those heroes where you now have a Viper on your team. And while he's not terrible, I think, you know, he's pretty good against a lot of melee heroes and things like that, but doesn't really bring all that much to the table. He's not a great, you know, he's not the best ganker, doesn't really bring any lockdown to team fights, and can quickly start to feel less and less relevant as the game goes on. Meanwhile, you've got an OD who can buy a Hex and a Refresher and just be an absolute nightmare. So even if the mid lane goes pretty well, top lane's going quite well for Quantic. And even though it looks like things aren't that, you know, that terrible at the moment, Chen is not getting any levels. We're heading towards minute 3. He just continues harassing the tri-lane. And an underlevel Chen is not something that you want to have once this Quantic push gets going, once they have that mech up on the OD.
Yeah, you have to be able to get something out of that Chen. I mean, you can't even go for ganks right now. He can't really afford to go into the jungle. The wards disappeared though. The wards that of course Quantic plays to shut the jungle down. So perhaps he might be rotating, but then he leaves Silent alone. He leaves Always Wanna Fly alone. And even though a Nightmare in theory is a nice tool to make sure that, you know, your enemies don't chase you, there's actually 2 supports here that can actually create a lot of mayhem. Silent, Soul Assumption, who 1 more hit away from dying. 13 HP. He runs, he flies, he is safe. Matt, though, might not be as safe. 1 more hit from the Gen Creep, and he gets it. Vanscore's Ursa gets the kill. In the meantime, Mania might be in some trouble. Always Wanna Fly. He's willing to give his life for that kill. 1 more hit away from dying. He's gonna be doing it. Is he gonna be doing it? Yes, he is. But he will indeed give his life for that one. A 1-for-1 trade here for the supports. Well, though, the Ursa warrior that fought so brave to get the hero down at the start dies. Sad.
Shed a tear.
Yeah.
Empire, pretty good trade for them at the end of the day. I don't know who ended up with the bulk of that experience. Always Wanna Fly did manage to grab level 3.5 from getting that kill on the Visage, so great for him. And, well, now we've got the Chen making his way across, looking a little bit healthier in terms of levels, and things looking okay on the whole for Empire, though. Wow, fucking Mad's actually in a little bit of trouble here.
Yeah, getting slowed down by Scandal. In comes Spada, though, saving the day. Goes for an Impale. Still a bit of harassment coming out. Perhaps they want to try to chase us up a high ground. Always Wanna Fly coming in as well. Mania, though, here as well. Nice 2-man Impale, and the slowdown on Scandal will make sure that nothing happens right here. I think with the fight at the top, by the way, Weaver did end up getting solo experience for that kill on the Bane, who suicided for the Visage. And I think that really helped him a lot, and he's not really needed to have supports anymore around him, and we see that he is by himself. He might be regretting that soon, because Incomes Always Wanna Fly and Vanscore. They have got a sentry as well. They don't really have any disabled though, and that's gonna be of course their trouble. In comes a Swarm. It's up on Silent, and perhaps Soxka thinks he can go with that. Oh, no he cannot! No he cannot, no chance! Brain Sap from the tree line and the Rocket Barrage were enough to take him down. Very awkward kill actually, awkward death for Soxka, who I think was kinda caught by surprise by that Bane coming off from the other side of the tree line.
And it was really silly to cast the Swarm there because he ended up with having enough mana to Shikuchi. So he kind of cast the Swarm, was hoping for the Geminid attack to get the kill on Silent. It didn't, he didn't have Shikuchi, and there was just no way for him to get out. The safer play is to just use the Shikuchi, run away from where you think the sentry ward is, and then just hope that your supports can arrive and, you know, maybe help you out. So, bad mana management, I would say, being the death of the Weaver there.
Yeah, we're gonna see Scandal, by the way, in the meantime. He's sitting on 16 to 11, so yeah, he's able to keep up a bit with Fada, who's sitting on 19 to 15. But Fada is still winning his lane. So, I mean, he might not be in any chance of dying, but he's not gonna kill off Fada anytime soon, as Fada is almost actually level 6, so has got the Sanity's Eclipse. Max sitting at level 6 actually, and he is rotating. He has got, of course, the Trek right now, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him rotating all the way to top to try and make some kills happen, as we have got the supports of Empire rotating, and now with the haste rune, they might try to take down Scandal. In comes Mag as well, though, and this could be turned around quite easily if Mag gets his way. He's gonna walk up the high ground, find some supports who are still level 3, the result of an aggressive Trident that doesn't get exactly a lot of kills, and oh, they know exactly what's going on. Mania and Mad, they go for Mania, the track is on, he doesn't have familiars, he only has a slow, tries to run for it, but the track speed might be helping Mag enough out. Goes for Invis, has got a Janata, and again in a couple of seconds, no Shuriken toss just yet though, but it doesn't matter. Track kill on the board. Mag, first rotation, success.
Yeah, gets that level 6, doesn't want to deal with the Timbersaw anymore, just says, I'm going to go set up some kills, drag the supports away from top. Unfortunately for Empire, the Weaver is still doing quite well 1v1 against a Gyrocopter, but he's at least now getting a little bit of farm for himself. Chen's catching up, and now Scandal, he's got some space. And Empire, again, the laning stage was always going to be the biggest concern for them. They've got a good timing push based around getting a mech, based around getting a BKB on the Gyro, and just based around getting this sort of ganking going on with Mag, which will help enable all of those items and get things going. So Quantic need to be careful that they don't get too settled into their ways. Top lane probably hasn't gone as they would have liked, and soon there might be an argument to be made about just rotate these supports down towards bot, get the 6 up on the Visage and the Nyx Assassin, and kind of be ready for that mid-game from Empire. Though we'll see how this final movement towards top with Miguel, which is being spotted by the ward, will end up going.
And this ward only just placed, so brilliant timing here for Empire. And with Timbersaw, I mean, maybe it's the start of a rotation, but at least they want to try to get something off it. I don't think they can, though. Empire fully aware this is going on. And Silent, even though he gets shut down fairly hard at the start, he is still sitting on 32 for 13. He's actually not doing all that bad in terms of last hits. It's only the Timbersaw that is higher. Oh, right now, Silent, why are you there? You know that this is not a fight that you can take. There's no TPs coming in to save your life. He takes a bug to the face. And Miguel clearing out some trees, clearing the way. In comes a call down Rocket Barrage. It's not going to be enough. Another hit comes out. Mad coming in. He's got a track up on Mad. In comes Always Winter Flies Well with the Brain Step. Stick charge is not enough to keep him up. Nyx Assassin goes down. Can they take another one? Mania taking a lot of harassment. There will not be a track, but he will go down. Now Vanscore taken down maybe by Miguel, who gets a track. Nice dodge on the Chakram. And that's the Timbersaw. Dead. 3 dead. On the side of Quantic in the end, losing the 2 supports, but most importantly, losing the highest farmed hero on the map on the side of Quantic, losing the Timbersaw, only giving a Gyrocopter in return for that. Not a bad score at all, and as Silent actually involved in those last fights, of course. He was buying back.
And it cost him so little gold to do that, so I don't know if Empire just pieced that together after the dive arrived on Silent, but I mean, given the fact that we saw the 4 heroes arrive top for Quantic, so I think Empire were well aware of what they were doing there, and it actually worked out fantastically for them. So they've now got some extra gold from the track kills, they're getting those core items up, and the laning phase is pretty much forgotten now. Whatever happened then is in the past, and Empire are looking pretty good. 2k gold, 2k experience, their lead. And again, that timing push is on its way, so Quantic have to be a little bit worried, and they've still got relatively under-leveled supports. And still not making that move down towards bot. Mania is just chilling out mid, and same story for fucking Mad. Just looking for levels, looking for kills, as opposed to going to farm up that 6, which, again, is going to be super important on both of these heroes come the mid game.
Yeah, I think Scandal's going to walk right into Matt here. He does have a Spike Carapace, but only one. And Mad comes in for a track kill. That's going to be a lot of damage done. One Spike Carapace might be enough. He comes in Impale as well. In comes Miguel trying to help out Scandal. Will not go down just yet. He is able to take at least Nyx Assassin, and he still tries to get away from Miguel here and dodge on the Chakram. In comes Mania, slowing down Scandal, and that's going to be the kill for Miguel. A one-on-one trade, which is favorable. Well, in terms of heroes, favorable for Quantic, but it's still a track kill going the way of Empire, and Mag still sitting highest on net worth.
Yeah, and it's also time for Empire. We've got Vanscore making good progress. Oh, and Kill up on top as well. That Grip now up for the Weaver, and now Grip up for the Bane, and down goes Weaver. So things looking better and better for Empire. And yeah, we're well and truly past the laning phase now. And Quantic, I think they just smoked, but it got immediately dispelled by the haste mag zipping straight through. So even another, I guess, kind of lucky win there for the Empire side.
Well, right now, I mean, Quantic, I think they, in theory, had the better lanes. Didn't actually work out as intended. I mean, they didn't die that much. I mean, they did die, but not as much as you would call them failed lanes. But they're not ahead this game. How are they gonna try to get back on top of this game? As we're gonna see Fada in some trouble. He's being well surrounded right now by enemy heroes. We've got ourselves Mag, Always Wanna Fly, as well as Scandal coming in. They're coming in from all corners. He does have the headdress recipe, at least, that he bought before he is gonna go down. Trek comes out, Astral Imprisonment, gonna help out as well, and that's gonna be Sanity's Eclipse. Still doing a lot of damage to Mag, but it's not enough, and actually, Miguel goes for the wrong side and ends up not getting anything and just wastes a TP, or at least it's gonna be going home with no kills just yet.
And going back to that thought about what Quantic do here, and I guess even going back to the thought about how the lanes went, lanes almost went as expected. Timbersaw did better than the Bounty Hunter, OD did a little bit better than the Viper, and top lane, I mean, it was the way that Quantic drafted it, it didn't really need to go all that well, but yeah, the bigger problem now is the fact that Bounty Hunter is just roamed, and doesn't matter what ended up happening in lane. And again, I think Quantic just need to get the 6 up on these supports, get the familiars, get the Vendetta, and be ready to fight after that. Instead, I think Quantic are being a little bit too... They're jumping the gun and trying to get things done right now, and they're giving Empire a lot of space to farm, and not really getting anything out of it. They're not farming themselves. And once Empire come in for this big push with the mech and, you know, a core item on Scandal and things like that, the supports need to be ready for it, and Quantic right now just going for another smoke.
Yeah, Mad and Mania, I mean, they're supposed to be one of the more scary support duos that there is with the Visage and the Nyx Assassin, but as you said, I mean, they're just very behind on levels right now. They're level 4 and 5, while the lowest on Empire is level 6, and actually the Bane is even level 7, as you said. I mean, he was going to get extra experience because Chen is going to get most of his experience in the jungle, leaving the pooling and the jungle creeps there for that camp, going mostly to the Bane. Smoke Gang goes all the way top. They walk past the sentry ward, but I don't think it'll go scouted out. And Silent already scouting one out. In comes an Impale. Is it going to be enough? There's going to be a slow as well. Silent, though, pretty farmed. Level 10. Not going to be an easy target to take. I mean, if he just came back with, indeed, Miguel coming in as well with the cooldown and flat cannon, I wouldn't be surprised if one died. Bane, able to pick off the Timbersaw with help of Scandal. Fiend script being used for that. I mean, they just can't do that all the time.
Yeah, Scandal had an invis rune, so he scouted out the Timber, just had Always Wanna Fly walk up, they threw down the Grip, and a very straightforward kill, but Always Wanna Fly doing very well. He's actually 5 for 1 for 4 at the moment, so I think we had a little stats pop up earlier about how well Always Wanna Fly plays this hero, but he's really showing it off right now, and Empire in an absolutely fantastic spot. Quantic, the Weaver isn't doing very well, he's getting pressured by the Bounty Hunter, and yeah, very underwhelming in terms of farm right now. The OD is still really not ready to move from mid. He's now got his mech finished, but a lot of pressure on the Timbersaw and the OD to get the Weaver back into this game by managing to pick up a couple of towers somewhere, because he needs help. He
does. I have to say though, I mean, Empire, they've been getting these kills. They're not really able to take that much in return for it in terms of map control. All towers are still standing. I mean, the pushing power of Empire is not that brilliant, although they do have a Chen, of course. But I'm quite surprised they haven't been able to try and push something down after they managed to get themselves a kill. I mean, tier 1's pretty nice gold to have, especially if you're trying to get ahead right now, and they're looking good to do so. And now with the mech up, it's going to be a bit tougher if Empire decides to go for a 5-man push. We do have 4 people, by the way, sitting on the top lane for Quantic, looking for something, looking for maybe a tower. 4 people of Empire, on the other hand, going mid. So we'll see which one forces the other one back first.
They've both got fortifications, so yeah, it's interesting. We've already got Quantic moving people back. And Silent runs top to maybe throw down a call down.
Oh, Mag just got scouted out. He is able to land the track. He has to run away though. Oh, Always Wanna Fly, realizing he's in trouble. TP's out. We'll be safe. Actually TP'd himself all the way to base. Wasn't really expecting
Yeah,
that.
that was a bit of a panic TP. I think he just double tapped it and went from there because he could have TP'd to the tier 2 mid. There's maybe a chance that it takes a little bit longer, but yeah, now has a long walk back to think about that TP, I guess. But no trade ends up happening. Both teams move out. Do we have any fortifications pop? Radiant end up using theirs. Dire didn't, so maybe a small advantage to Empire at the end of that. But we have a mech up on the Chen, so Vanscore, despite the rough early start with his camps getting blocked out, he's fine, and Mania's getting jumped bot.
Yeah, guess got a track up, always want to fly able to brain stab, Shuriken Toss coming in, easy kill, easy track goal of course. Bane with the last hit again, now having 6 kills. 6 out of the 12 kills are on his side, and 4 assists of course there as well. Only 2 kills he hasn't been involved in, and Snare up on Mad, who goes under with Astral Imprisonment, making sure that his Spike Carapace actually doesn't do that much, and he ends up going down very fast. Their track comes up from Mag just in time before he dies. Scandal with another kill for himself, and this is starting to look more and more scary for Quantic right here. They're starting to lose control. And look at this. This is how comfortable Always Wanna Fly feels. I mean, he just plays a word. It's all he does, but he is just able to walk up to this point as a support and not feel threatened all that much. Feeling safe that he's gonna stay alive long enough that his team will come in before he dies. And actually, he wants to go for Fiend's Grip, finds it up on Fada from the tree line, able to get that going. Track goes off. Is it enough? Astral Imprisonment puts him under. In comes a cooldown. Nightmare up on the Weaver. Down goes Fada. Weaver able to get himself out. Fada, of course, still dying. Vanscore with the last hit in the end. And now they actually take some map control because, of course, the tier 1 tower died. And that's Empire just getting ahead, and even more so. They're getting 7,000 gold ahead right now, 7,500 experience ahead. And how is Quantic gonna do this? They're fighting up against track kills, so even exchanging team fights, even team fights won't work for them right now. Are they just gonna try to hold on, get more farm up on their Weaver? Is that it?
Yeah, hopefully move the Weaver to the safest lane that you can give him, whether that's the mid lane if you keep pulling it back. And just holding the equilibrium right in position, or whether or not that's bottom lane, you know, with just TPs ready on the supports. I think they need to move into a little bit more of a defensive posture, because I still think we still don't have level 6 up on this Nyx Assassin. The ganks from Miguel had so much promise. He had such a great start, you know, did probably the best in, I guess, out of all of the lanes, but he just hasn't been able to turn it into anything because he needs that little bit of extra backup for the ganks and hasn't been able to find it.
Yeah, now we might have some trouble for Miguel here as he goes towards top. Gets some harassment on him, is able to timber chain himself away. In comes Vanscore, always want to fly as well. Maybe a nightmare for someone in 8 seconds. Now everybody backs off in time. I mean, this was just Quantic trying to see if they could get a pick off on Scandal, but they just don't have the damage. Who is going to do the damage? Weaver's not going to do it. He needs to farm, and he doesn't really have anything. He is level 9 still, where level 11 is the norm for Empire's course.
Fat is getting ganked bot.
Ooh, track is already up. No. In the meantime, Weaver goes down top, so probably camera work should have stopped, stayed on top.
My bad.
Oh well, that was Fiend Script used once again for that Weaver. And easy pickings once again. Mad realizing he needs more than just level 5. He gets himself level 6 in the mid lane, able to get himself some extra experience. And now TP's himself bottom to try and maybe do something here. He's by himself though. I'm not sure what he think he can accomplish. Maybe with his familiars he can help out. An extra TP coming in from the OD. Impale still comes out, but Silent, he's level 11. He has a Rocket Barrage, and there is no mana for Spike Carapace. And actually, that's going to be enough. Just Mac coming in with a track. He gets stunned up still, but goes invisible in time. And I mean, that's going to be the rotation there. Wasted. Vendetta wasted as well. No more mana on Nyx. Quantic once again sent back to the drawing board.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Yeah, and I'm not... Like, a couple of minutes ago when you asked what Quantic do from the position that they were in, it didn't seem too desperate, but now things are getting worse and worse, and poor Sock just keeps almost dying. Nice time-lapse back at the bottom lane to get rid of the track and get back to safety, and will he be able to actually pick up Silent here?
Oh, he might.
Going in aggressively.
Oh, no, he can't. Hand of God comes out. In comes the track, and now no time lapse. Maybe they can find him. Maybe they can get him. There is a Janata up if he just catches up, which he should be able to do. In comes a TP from the Timber Saw, trying to help out. Janata will still hit. The dust pops. They want to go for Mag here. They might be able to. A Timber Chain that misses once more. Mag still gets a bug stuck on him. Tries to just run. Still has face boots as well if he wants to. He's been left alone, by the way, by the gyrocopter who just said, screw you, Mag. And by myself right now, but Mag, he gets himself out. Dust wears off. He lives. In comes Vansquare. In comes Always Wanna Fly. In comes Silent. In comes the Cavalry. Fiend's Grip up on Miguel. I mean, that's just gonna be so tough to take. You thought you were gonna have an easy pickings, but the chase just lasted too long. You can't chase that long when Empire is so far ahead and just will come in to help their heroes. I mean, no matter if it's just a bounty hunter. 5 heroes now bottom lane. Hey, why not take a tier 1 tower rival here? Might as well.
And Empire is such a long way ahead now, and I'm not sure what Quantic do from this point is a very, very difficult call. We've already got the BKB up on the Bounty Hunter, there's a BKB up on the Viper, there's a BKB up on the Gyrocopter, so OD's damage is now already pretty much irrelevant until those BKBs become very, very short durations, and would normally be where you'd be relying on the Weaver a little bit more. Nice Visage Familiars up top will be able to pick up a tower, but Weaver still just has nothing. He's gone to every single lane trying to scrounge up a little bit of farm, but every single time it's either been Bane or Bounty Hunter or or somebody on Empire's side just coming to put the pressure on him, preventing him from really getting any CS. So looks like Mauser just gonna go 5-man and see if that works out for them.
Well, everything else failed. I don't think they know about the BKBs just yet, though. And that might be coming as a surprise. Scandal still gonna stun. As from Prism comes out, and comes some tracks as well. Chakram coming in, but Scandal just turns on his BKB, tries to find the target. Mag with his BKB as well. Fada says, screw you guys, TPing out, fails, goes down. Down goes a Nyx Assassin as well. And that's gonna be Miguel. Last one here. Tries to at least get a support Bane. It doesn't matter. The GG gets cold. Quantic, they tap out. It went too fast for them. Empire, too dominating in this game. Mania will still find himself dead here unless Empire shows some mercy, but I think that's gonna be it. BKB even turned on for that kill. And that's gonna be Bounty Hunter top 1 win rate, 33% apparently. But that's gonna be very strong showing from Empire, I have to say. I'm impressed by them, although I'm not quite sure if Quantic brought their A game in this one.
Yeah, Quantic's draft looked very solid. I thought it looked very comfortable for them, but just a little bit of that transition from the laning stage into sort of the more mid-game oriented action was where I think things really fell apart, and Empire were able to, Empire were great because they were able to just partner up any 2 heroes. We had ganks between Bounty Hunter and Bane, we had ganks with Bounty Hunter and Viper, we had Viper plus Bane. So Empire, really great job. Again, I guess a reminder about that buyback from Silent on top. I think that was a really great play, and I think premeditated from Empire. So good job to them. Quantic, nice draft. I think the lanes worked out well, but yeah, after that, I think they need to have a look at what went wrong.
Yeah, and of course, you saw the shout out for the wild card. That was actually because Empire used their wild card to postpone a match that they could have gotten a free win for. But Quantic couldn't make it in time, so Empire used their wild card to replace the match to this date. And in the end, I mean, they just show they can even win, even if they use a wild card for it. It was, yeah, there was some sportsmanship. Of course, we're going to jump ourselves to the last game of the evening. It's going to be a Na'Vi game. It's going to be Na'Vi up against Rock's Kiss. And base skip, 6 a.m. How are you feeling?
I don't know. I might have to call it here, Shiver, unfortunately. Might have to leave you alone for the last game.
Do you want to have any plugins, any shoutouts? Where can people normally find you? Because you've been casting a lot lately.
Right, yeah, so I've been doing quite a bit more at the moment. If people want to figure out what I'm up to, then I'm doing stuff with Dota Talk, but most of the details are just on my Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. It's all under the name of Baseskip, so if anybody wants to go find me, that's pretty much all you need to search up. And I think that's going to be it. Thank you very much, Shiver, for having me on to cast tonight. It was great fun, and I got a little bit of a taste of Western Dota again, so I'll have to update my notes, my little black book, and be ready for future casts. But yeah, I think that's going to be it for me. If anybody wants to leave me feedback on my co-casting tonight, you can email me at basekipdota@gmail.com. That's always great. I love to hear constructive criticism. But yeah, I think that's it for me.
Okay, well, thank you for joining me. We're going to jump ourselves to the next game, Rocks versus Navi. Stick around, our last game of the evening is coming up in just a moment.